everybody, it's me, Mr. Santee, Rob McNelis, and I am coming to you live from Deano's Pub, as you can see, and with me is Deano himself.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Absolutely, brother. Really want to talk about this because I've known you for quite some time now. You started in Santee with your first adventure, but even before that, you were really involved in music, and that's how we really met. Was you came to talk to me about a concert or a band that you wanted to play at the very first. Oh my God, the very first street fair.
Street fair.
Yeah,
that was years ago.
That was a while ago. So you had a passion for music and a passion for just the fun nightlife for quite some time.
Yeah.
And now you're kind of living your dream a little bit.
Yeah, I had this crazy idea, and I asked my wife. Deano's Pub, or a version of it, had been something I wanted to do for many years. One of my buddies owned a really cool bar in Santee, and after he passed, I was like, I'm going to do a bar. That's going to be my thing. And I asked my wife, and she said, sure, you've always wanted a bar. So that's how we started here at Deano's.
All right, so let's talk about your humble beginnings here. I mean, you work a full-time job.
Yes, so I work a good 50 hours a week at a real job. I'm a senior staff design architect for one of our local companies here. I've been there for over 20 years. Matter of fact, I just got back from a global international business trip. I was in India for 15 days. Just got back earlier on this week. So yeah, that's what I do during the daytime. And the nighttime, I like to fill it up with other cool ventures, and this just happens to be one of them.
You're a glutton for punishment, my friend. So you started off in Santee. Like I said, your first adventure there was the Riverwalk Grill.
Riverwalk Grill. We created that in Town Center Community Park.
Yeah.
And I had this idea. I'm like, hey, let's have something that the public actually enjoys and people can come to, and kind of making it a destination eatery, a little bit more than the snack bar concession stand that it was. And it was really cool. We created it. It became ultra successful. You frequented quite often.
Every concert in the park, or big adventure that we have. You did cornhole tournaments there. You did.
I had bands. I had actually bands at the grill. We pull out the tables. So that was really fun. It turned into a lot of work because on my day job, and I got it to a point where it was pretty successful, and I wanted to pass it on to somebody who could bring it to the next level. And I knew that I couldn't add more time to that because it wasn't as successful enough for me to quit my day job.
Right.
But it was very successful for somebody that had the vision and can take it further. So I sold off the name and all of the equipment to somebody, and he's doing a great job, and it's continuing to. So check out Riverwalk Grill Santee on Facebook. Joel and his wife Nell is out there, and they're doing a great job. And but then we had a couple months off. I didn't have a second job.
I gotta regress a little bit here and admit I was absolutely dead wrong, which does happen, quite often, unfortunately. Dead wrong about you because I think I voted against you getting Riverwalk Grill in the beginning because you didn't have that track record. You didn't have anything behind you saying, like, you're an engineer. So you want to open up a restaurant bar in our city, and I was like, I think we need to move it. We need to go in a direction that was, in my opinion at the time, a more responsible bet. I'm happy to say I was very wrong, and you did an excellent job. I love the vision that you had with it, with taking a snack bar and adding that outside area to it, basically, for every event that you did. I don't know that too many other people would have thought of doing that. They would have tried to keep it contained. You literally think outside the box.
And I saw that. And that was what I was trying to convey. And I think actually you voted for me
the second time around.
The second time around. But
you proved yourself. How do you not vote for something that's proven success, man?
Yeah, it was a great thing, and it just brought me closer to the community that I love, that I've been involved with for years. I was a coach in Santee for 16 years. I coached softball, our great softball organization, ASA Softball, and AYSO Soccer. I had a lot of fun, and then having the Riverwalk Grill was an extension of that. I got to be involved in the community.
Right.
I got to do a lot of the events and just be involved, and I got to meet and see the folks I've met over the past 16 years. So it was really great.
You also sat on Santee Park and Recreation Committee too, as well, don't you?
Yeah, I'm the chair of Santee Park and Rec Committee. I've been on Santee Park and Rec for quite some time. I'm really involved in that. We have a lot of great youth and senior programs in Santee, and it's such a great position to have to help direct and advise the council on what we think and what we hear from our community members on what to move forward with. And so it's been a great ride on the Spark Committee. It's one of those things that I just love doing, and it's so rewarding.
So now let's get to kind of closer to present day.
Yes.
You realized you grew Riverwalk Grill as big as it can grow.
Under my direction.
Under your direction. And there wasn't really just more you could do there. And it wasn't enough to take over the day job.
Yeah.
So you wanted to expand even further. Unfortunately, you couldn't find anything in Santee. Unfortunately for us, couldn't find anything in Santee, but you found this place on the Mesa, which is located at
5286 Baltimore Drive, here right off of Fletcher Parkway in Baltimore, kind of kitty corner to the Costco here in La Mesa.
Oh yeah, it's right down the street.
Yeah.
So you found this spot, and this was an adventure to get open, wasn't it?
It was. It was about a 6-month purchase process. It was a lot of negotiating, a lot of talking. As you can imagine, the COVID, the pandemic really hurt a lot of local businesses.
Yeah.
And this was one of them. And they had a lot of, let's say, stuff they needed to take care of with the management and the owner of the property. So after going through that, we got to go ahead, and it was great. I mean, I remember putting a call out on Facebook. I have a lot of friends, and I'm very involved in Santee. And I said, hey, anybody want to come help?
I need help, yeah.
This place hadn't been cleaned for quite some time, and we had a big cleaning party. I bought pizza, and I said, hey, we got old beer and old booze. You can have whatever you want. Because granted, the place was open before I took over, so it had some older. And to my surprise, we had 70 people.
My son and a couple of his friends were one of them. Yeah, they came in.
People show up on a random night.
Yeah.
And I bought a bunch of cleaning supplies, and we just gave it a big cleaning. And it was so cool to see the one time, because you normally have the one somebody says, hey, we got my grandma needs a shed taken down. We go there, we take it down. So this time was the first time I reached out to some of my friends and said, hey, can you guys come and help? Because we're on a shoestring budget. I did this. I don't have any partners. When I went to my wife and said, can I open a bar? And she's like, well, what's going to pay for it? I'm like, well, we have some savings. And so we kind of took all of our life savings.
All right, hold on, wait. So you went to Erica, your wife.
Yes.
And you said, I'm going to open up a bar. Not just a Riverwalk Grill. I'm opening up a bar. And her response was...
Her first words were, you're going to hire people for that. Because most people don't know this, but Riverwalk Grill
was you and your family.
Was me, my wife, my son, my daughter.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes my brother when we were busy, my other brother, and then maybe a kid, one of my daughter's friends. But we worked every hour that Riverwalk Grill was open.
Yeah.
And so my wife all she thought was, we're not going to run. I don't want to run a bar. I don't want to. And I said, no, sweetie, you're going to hire people. But I did tell her in the beginning, because I want some ownership on this.
Yeah.
It kind of came around for the Deano's Pub, the naming of it. I wanted people to know that I had some skin in the game. And I told her, I said, honey, we're going to get people, but we're going to have to be there in the beginning and kind of get things going because I want to make sure my vision, because you know me, I'm a dreamer.
Yes.
And I wanted to make sure my dream gets realized. So we're still in our first year. It hasn't been a year yet. And so we're moving along and being very involved. Last night actually, and I'll talk about some of the cool events we have here. But I was calling bingo here at Deano's. Deano was calling bingo, and we had a great night. So I was a sound guy when we first opened up, and we'll talk about.
Which is your background?
Yeah, sound and music.
Yeah.
So, but it was just in the beginning, it was awesome. I knew I was in over my head, so having the friends support, I reached out to one of my good friends, Mike Ranson. He is a designer, and I said, hey, any tips on what we could do here? So with his vision, his support through the entire process, it was well worth the investment. We had to change this from the Alibi to Deano's Pub. I didn't want to open up the Alibi 2.0.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the Alibi. Alibi had its times here. I wanted to open up Deano's Pub. I wanted it to be different enough that people say, hey, that's new. And with his help and his expertise, the creative design, it was awesome. And so I really owe a lot to him. It was definitely worth the investment.
Talk about having vision. That guy's got some incredible vision.
And he's just an absolute community leader in
Oh,
CT.
yeah.
a lot of the stuff he does behind the scenes that he never takes credit for is amazing. I mean, if anybody's seen our awesome Veterans Memorial, he designed the whole thing.
Yeah.
He never took credit for it. I mean, they dragged him out on the opening day just to say, hey, he's the one that did it.
He did the wall at Santee Lakes.
At the Santee Lakes, he did that because he looked at, he sees that every day on his walks, and he's like, I want to do something with this. And he went to them, and they said, oh no, we're just going to throw it away. He's like, oh,
the dock, the wood
has
from the
been
dock.
there forever. So he came up with I can make a mural. I can make it look like the mountains. And it's amazing. And if you haven't seen it, you have to go to Santee Lakes, go to the Tin Fish, and see Michael did that. And it was 100% him.
Oh yes, yeah.
Nobody said, hey, can you do something? He just said, I see that. I don't want that being thrown away. And he created this art piece, awesome art piece off of stuff that was just being thrown away.
So that also ties into what you've got out front with yours. You've got the wood out front now. So it's not just the stucco facade. You've actually got some detail and some intricacies to your spot.
Yeah, it gives us our personality, our Deano's personality. I mean, we changed the color. I don't know if anybody noticed, but this entire shopping center is one color.
Right.
It's the same 70s orange or whatever it's called. and I'm like, I don't want to look like everything here. I want to be different. And I gave, kind of gave that my vision because I'm not too creative. I gave it to Michael, and he's like, I see us doing this, and it looks great. I mean, we added a roll-up door. Before, this was a dark, dingy place, like you're in a cave. The ceilings were low. There was no light. Now we have a roll-up door, an 8x10 roll-up door. We have a window. It's natural light, and it just adds so much more to the experience.
Roll-up door is beautiful.
Yeah,
I love that.
And I didn't want to be a hipster bar because there's plenty of hipster bars in La Mesa. But I wanted to be something that didn't feel so closed and dark. So it just brings a lot of life in here. We're still a dive bar. We're a cool dive bar, but we're still a dive bar.
Well, you're not a dive bar. I mean, you've got. All right, let's talk about what you do here. Besides, obviously, have some beer and drinks and things of that nature. But you've got a lot of events that go on here.
We do. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to create events where people can come and enjoy themselves. And so I started putting together this kind of this vision in my mind of what we can do on certain nights. So basically, right now it's football season. So we're really trying to build a football business. We never had that before. I don't know, but a lot of people don't know this, but the NFL package costs thousands of dollars, and I just wanted to make it worth it for us. So we're trying to build that right now on Sundays, on Thursday nights, and on Monday. We also have awesome events throughout the week. On Tuesday nights, we have bingo and trivia. So every other week, it's bingo or trivia.
Okay.
Wednesday nights, we have karaoke. Tonight is karaoke. We built a great karaoke night. Everybody loves karaoke. And we had to do, in the beginning, I'm like, oh, do we want karaoke? But in our soft opening, I had a karaoke person come here one night. And I sing karaoke. I don't sing karaoke. I was here singing. I think it was Christmas, actually. I'm like, people go to bars on Christmas. And so last year on Christmas, we were in here, and the place was full. So we do every Wednesday night on Christmas. And,
oh, wow.
And Eric was like, why? Who goes to the bar? And I'm like, I guess people get tired of their family after a certain point, so they go straight to the bar. But so we've had karaoke since the day we opened. Every Wednesday night, it's grown into a great event. Thursday nights, right now is football. We're going to move our trivia and our bingo back to it after the football season's over.
All right.
It was getting a little conflict because we have 6 very large screen TVs in here. I put in all new TVs in here. We have receivers on all of them. We also have behind me a 130-inch laser projector. Most people don't know what that is, but in my industry, a laser projector is a top-of-the-line projector. It's super bright. You don't have to turn off all the lights in the house to see it. And it's very, very nice color reproduction and color gamut. I can go into the weeds with
I think we're good. I think we get it. It's a big screen TV.
It's a big screen and it looks great. So we have all the TVs, we have all that for football. And then the coolest part, going back in my history, is the live music. I always wanted to have a venue that have live music, and I wanted to pay the bands to play. So many places, I know from managing my buddy's band for about 12 years, they don't get paid in most places. Or you have to bring 100 people in, you have to sell tickets and all that stuff. First off, Deano's Pub doesn't have a cover charge, never will.
Okay.
I would rather you buy 2 beers and spend $10 on 2 beers than charge you $10 to get in to watch your band.
Right.
So I'm never going to have a cover charge. But what that does keep us a little bit lower on some of these bands nowadays are giant bands and they want a lot of money to play. So we've had more of the local scene. We have bands that are originals, and we have bands that are tribute bands, and we have cover bands.
Right.
And the mix of them, and I didn't want to pigeonhole us into like being a country bar or a rock and roll bar. So we had bands from country to punk rock to rock and roll.
Everything in between.
Everything. We had Linda Ronstadt tribute band here on Friday night last week, and the folks loved it. And to be honest with you, we don't have. I mean, our crowd here is 40s and 50-year-olds, and they really enjoy it. And it's. I mean, the thing we worked.
So a bunch of young people.
Yes. Yeah. Young. So the biggest thing we worked on was the vibe, because you go into places. Sometimes you go into places. This is what Erica and we were going around when I told her I wanted to own a bar. We went around to some of the local bars, and you go in there, and you feel like you're an outsider. Like, oh, I guess I'm not part of the
crew. Yeah.
So I guess we shouldn't be in here. And we had that feeling inside. You know, that feeling you go back to in high school when you're. I was a nerd, a drama nerd. You never imagined that, but I was a drama nerd. And when that feeling you get in high school when you walk into the room and the cool kids are talking, and then you're not allowed to, say anything. And I'm like, I don't want that feeling. So at Deano's, I put so much effort, and every one of our employees, I've given this spiel to.
Right.
I want people to come in here. I don't care if they're the popular kid, the drama nerd, whoever. I want them to come in here and feel welcome, and it's really worked. I mean, we have just an array of people coming in here, old people, young people, and with the different bands, it's just bringing in so many people, and it's really fun to see. And for the first 6-8 months we were open, I was the sound guy. So Fridays and Saturdays I was here, and I get up at 4:45, 5 a.m. every morning. So staying up until 1 a.m. is really hard for me.
Yeah.
So on Friday it was the hardest because I'd work all day, and I'd have to go home, take a nap, and then I'd come here and I'd be here until 1 a.m. Mixing the sound. Recently I hired a sound guy, and that story is a whole nother story.
But you've got it now. He's taken care of.
Great guy, and he's a kid, and he's doing an awesome job. I come in still to support him or just to listen to the bands. I get to enjoy it.
But you don't have to stay the entire time now.
I do not, and so going to bed at 10 o'clock, I like to. That's usually my standard. So so I'm really stoked to support live local music and these bands because they really appreciate it. They have a venue to go where their friends and family can come in.
So what are the main nights for the band again?
Fridays and Saturday nights.
Friday and Saturday nights,
8 to 11.
8 to 11. All right, and that's pretty much every
Friday and Saturday. Every now and then,
something happens.
Yes. Or somebody will
get sick. They get
and I do it from 8 to 11, and I've had a couple bands ask me, well, why don't you do it later? Because I think 8 to 11 is a good time. You don't want to stay out until 1 in the morning and go see a band, especially when you're 45 or 50. You want to come in here, you stay for 1 or 2 sets, and you're here until 9:30 or 10. You're like, okay, I'm going to go home. And so I have a lot of purposeful intent in here. I chose stuff and in the beginning, to be honest with you, because I didn't want to be here until 1 a.m. So I'm 8 to 11, and then I'll be out by midnight and go home. But it's really worked out, and some bands want to do earlier, some bands want to do later. I'm like, hey, we found that 8 to 11 is a good time. So
that works well for your band segment. What time do you actually close?
So we've played around with our closing hours. We don't have a late night drinking crew here. A lot of bars that have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
They're where everybody goes after they get drunk. And so nothing good happens.
Exactly.
That's
not what you want to do.
Nothing good happens after midnight. And we've been pretty knock on wood. We've had a really good run here with good people, no aggressive behavior. I have some policies actually posted at my front door. One of them specifically is no aggressive behavior. If you want to act like a knucklehead, there's 10 other bars you can throw a stick at and go there. You can act like a knucklehead. At Deano's, I want people to feel comfortable.
Right.
So we have strict policies in place. If somebody gets aggressive, if you get aggressive when you drink, once you start giving them, hey man, why don't you come back tomorrow when you're feeling better? Because right now,
save your night.
Yeah. So we've really tried to keep with that. I don't need to have every person in here, everybody drinking until. So right now, we're closing on Fridays and Saturdays. We close at 1 a.m. Most of the other nights we close at midnight, depending. I tell my bartenders they have a little bit of leeway. If there's 6 girls in here celebrating girls' night out, and it's 12:30, we're not kicking them out. If they're having fun and they're not, So we kind of have a sliding scale.
But it's at least midnight every night.
At least midnight.
Comments?
Oh, we got some comments. Christine Costa.
Oh,
Hello.
KPC. Oh, so I didn't mention her, but she's the reason why I have Deano's.
Because of Joe?
Well, yes, because
Introduction,
I reached out to her. No, I reached out to her about a year and a half ago, and I'm like, please let me know if you're ever going to sell one of your bars. If Joe and she really supported us, and she helped us, and she you know how women can do. She nudged Joe to give me an opportunity, and it was really cool. So thank you.
And Justin Haskins says you're still a nerd.
Hey, better watch it. I'm bigger than you, by the way.
I wants to know if this could be the official 49ers bar. I'm
We
down
don't
with
carry
that, but
49ers games.
Down with that.
So 49ers, nobody likes the 49ers.
I'm killing it.
But I've been to Rob's garage to watch them. No, that's another thing. I didn't want to become
The
whatever bar.
Yeah.
And that goes with my whole thing is I wanted
So
to.
you have different games going on different TVs? All
I
right.
got 6 games.
Yeah.
The big screen.
Yeah.
Whoever's here, whoever had the most fans. So if you want to come in here, you're a 49ers fan. You bring 10 people in here. Guess who's watching the big screen? 49ers fan. So it goes
Challenge accepted,
It
Justin.
goes to the highest bidder. If you're going to spend some money, guess what? You get to see the big screen. Of course, the 85-inch TVs aren't that small, but this one just happens to be a little bit bigger. But I didn't want to pigeonhole us into a bar because then you got the people, and then these people, and that goes against. I wanted it to be all inclusive. I wanted folks to come here and feel comfortable and feel welcome, and so I never hung a flag of what. The only flag I hung in here for sports teams was a Manchester United. And I was trying to get the soccer folks. We were open at 6 a.m. for the first 6 months.
Oh my goodness.
It was a rough ride, and we decided that we need to build up our noon to 6 p.m. crowd before we work on our 6 to noon crowd.
Yeah.
And one of my great bartenders, she's been here since the beginning. A lot of Santee folks know her. Lexus. She used to be a beer server at PIV. Sweet young girl, and I'm like, hey, do you want to come work and learn? So she wasn't a bartender, a traditional bartender, but she learned, and now she's one of our great bartenders here. But she pulled the short straw. She was our 6 a.m. bartender.
Oh, no.
And she's not even a millennial. She's like 22, I think. And my kids, I have a 20-year-old at home and a 24-year-old. They don't get up at 5:45. She never was late once. She never called in sick. She was here and sat by herself on many days. And she started building a group, but it just wasn't enough to sustain the business model being open.
Bro, that's early.
But there's a lot of bars in town that are open on Friday, Saturday, Sundays at 6 a.m. And I'm like, okay, because I get up early, so I didn't think it was a big deal. But we'll work on that in the future. Deano's might be open at 6 a.m. on the weekends, but for now, we're working on our afternoon stuff. But all the sports, whatever teams, we'll put it up there. And like I said, so one of my buddies, actually you know him as well, Justin and Pat are part of the SDSU alum.
Yeah.
So I've asked them,
Lafley and Pat.
and I've asked them to bring some of those SDSU folks in here for away games, watch an away game. We'll put it up here. We also have the brand new Ale Smith SDSU beer, and we have a really cool tap handle, and we're getting some swag, some SDSU Ale Smith swag coming up. But we were one of the first people in town to have the SDSU Ale on tap. So they're gonna try to schedule some of their away viewing parties here. The football ones are a little challenging because they start at 7:30 on a Saturday. We have live music Fridays and Saturdays.
Yeah.
So I think basketball might be a
better route for you.
better sport. But so I have so many folks that I've been friends with, and so many people have supported me over the years. And we're just trying to get people in here. We're trying to grow the business. We had to start from the ground up just because before COVID, the Alibi kind of went in a direction that I wouldn't necessarily go. So we kind of changed the clientele around and started making it a little bit more friendly and a little bit more open to everybody. So I think we've done a really good job with that. So
I think you have too. What else? All right. So do we cover the events that you have now?
Yep. Friday, Saturday live music. Wednesday karaoke. Tuesdays we have pool leagues in here, but those are most of the events we have in here. We'll do specialty events for my awesome bar manager, Amy, who I'm going to talk about in a minute. She came up with an Aloha Day or something the other day. So we have some cool pop-up events. everything we do, we put it on Instagram and Facebook. We put it on our deanospub.com.
Okay.
And so we have a really good social media presence. We kind of put all our events up there. So if you're wondering like, hey, what band's Deano having on Friday? Well, you can go there. This week, we have a killer band this week. They're branded country band. They're one of the best bands we've had in there. We had record sales on a couple of the nights they played. So I'm really excited to have them.
And that's on Friday or Saturday?
That's on Friday.
Friday?
Yeah.
At 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock.
Look at that. I even remember that stuff.
8 to 11. So yeah, that's pretty much all the events.
And, all right. Now, I know you were going to say it is, but we don't want to get you in trouble. Who do you have to thank for...
Oh, see, I know, Erica. So I just want to say I couldn't do this without the support of my family.
Yeah.
And most importantly, my wife, Erica. She's been the best partner and wife anybody could ever hope for. She's put up with me for 30 years, and we're coming up on 30 years together and 26 married. And she's my biggest cheerleader. I have a lot of crazy dreams, a lot of crazy ideas, as you can imagine. I mean, a lot more than the ones I just execute on. I have a lot of ideas, and I bounce them off her, and she's always been there to support me and give me the extra push and say, I know you can do this. I know you can make it successful. She's there to tell me, look at how successful you are, and I owe everything to her because she's been a support person for me for so many years, and sometimes I have to drag her kicking and screaming like this one. She's like, I don't want to work it, and now she does a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I mean, she does all of our bank stuff, and she does all the graphic design for our flyers and our websites. So I just want to say thank you, sweetie. You're awesome, and most people that know me know you, and they know
without a doubt. You're pretty much joined at the hip most of the time.
Yeah, and so my family and Erica are just the ones I have to thank. And there's some other people here locally. Owning a business in La Mesa, since I've always been Santee driven, I wanted to open up Deano's Pub in Santee. We just couldn't find the right space, and there's just not a lot of commercial real estate out there. And so it was really hard, and I'm like, do I take this opportunity and start something and then see if I can expand? And so that's why I took this opportunity. So I had to meet some new folks here in town. The La Mesa Chamber of Commerce is amazing. And I love our Santee Chamber. I was a part of it for years at Riverwalk Grill. Now that I'm in La Mesa, Mary England and her folks are amazing. They helped with our grand opening. Our grand opening, we had 300 people in it.
I know, I was here.
Yeah, it was crazy. We had elected.
Laura was here.
Laura was here. We had elected officials. I got proclamations. It was such a cool event, and I owe a lot to Mary for her support and helping doing the ribbon cutting. And we had a great band in here, I-90. I can't wait to have them back. I think on our 1 year anniversary, we're going to have I-90 back. But so Mary England with the La Mesa Chamber, she's helped. She's always supporting me. I always support her events, and I try to be involved in all of the La Mesa Chamber events. And Laura Lothian, she's amazing. Councilwoman here in La Mesa. She is all about La Mesa businesses.
Right.
She wants La Mesa businesses to succeed, and she does what she can to help them succeed. I had some issues in here with the planning / permits department. It took a little bit of time because they were busy coming out of COVID. It took a little bit of time to get some of the licensing and some of that stuff figured out. I reached out to Laura, and literally within a week, I had every paper in my hand, and I was just like, it's really cool to see a council person like yourself that is actually driven to help business in their community.
That's the idea. And that's what the job's all about.
Yeah, but you see these council folks and elected officials that's not the first thing on their mind. The first thing on their mind is how to get more power, how to get more. But when you see somebody that actually gives that cares about supporting their business and growing their community the right way, and it's so refreshing. And to see Laura here, she fights daily to try to fight the good fight, and she's became a really good friend of mine, and she's in here supporting me. I see her at a lot of events, so it's really, really cool.
You did bring some of the Santee faithful over.
I did.
Stephanie's in here right now. It's
Yeah.
good to see her.
That's
See,
Stephanie's. We refer to her as Mama Deano.
Mama Deano.
She actually has a shirt, and it says Mama Deano. Instead of Deano's Pub, it says Mama Deano. She has one. So Stephanie's supported me, and her family has supported me so much, and not just supported me, but just been there as a friend and somebody to bounce ideas off of and give me their ideas, whether they're good or not. But it's really cool to have.
Yeah, she's saying all of them are good.
It's really good to have. Yeah, so
all of her ideas are good.
We have Santee folks in here. It's hard to convince. We're 5.5 miles away from my house, which 5.5 miles is not that far. Even Minto rides his bike here. I'm trying to get folks, but don't worry, we're gonna work on getting the Santee. I really want to. I look forward to continue to grow the Deano's Pub brand, whatever that turns into.
Yeah.
And if that's expanding in the future, then
they're all for it.
Then we'll do that. But I want to expand upon my main goal, which is good service, cool vibes, a safe place to be at.
Speaking of service, you're also going to be. I think we're working together on Sunday at Oktoberfest.
Yes, these community folks here. We got Oktoberfest coming up, and Oktoberfest is so much fun. And Frank and Mike out there, it's just one of the coolest events. And honestly, Frank, last year when we opened here, we opened in February as our grand opening. He was at my grand opening, Frank Hilliker, and he asked me, he's like, "Does that mean you're not going to volunteer at the Oktoberfest anymore?" And I'm like, "No, Frank, that doesn't mean that."
We still got you covered, Frank. We'll be there, buddy.
Yeah, so this weekend.
We're working Sunday 3 to 6, I believe.
Yes, you're working Sunday 3 to 6.
Oh, you're not?
I'm there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Oh, my.
Both weekends.
Oh, my.
And I'm serving beer and cooking. So I'm going to be there probably. So last year I worked 60 hours.
Oh,
I'm sorry, volunteered.
Volunteered.
I volunteered.
Volunteered or voluntold?
Yeah, 60 hours in 6 days. This year it's closer to 40, but I love it. I have different outfits. I do a costume change.
Oh my goodness.
Because I have the lederhosen and I don't want them to smell like the food. So when I'm cooking, I'm not wearing those because they'll be funky. Now, they're supposed to get beer spilt on them. So when I serve beer, I'll wear my lederhosen. So I also have my good friend and your engineer extraordinaire, Joe. Joe's going to be
Producer Joe?
Producer Joe's going to be there manning the grill with me.
Oh, man.
So I would say training. He doesn't need training. He just needs to know how they like stuff. But he's going to be there with me, and in the future, he's going to have his own, own shifts. But I'm really excited for it.
So basically, you're being indoctrinated into it right now, Joe.
Yes. And he said, and I sent him a thing, like, how many days could you work with me? And he's like, well, probably pretty much everything. And I'm sure he took that back.
Sucker.
When I sent him 6 days of scheduling, I'm like, okay, Joe, you're going to be here this day, this way. And actually, this Friday, I'm not going to be able to make it there because the final game of the San Diego Wave, our National Women's Soccer League, is playing here at Snapdragon Stadium. And I was in India on their first game, the opening. And so I want to make this game. So I asked Joe, I'm like, hey, do you want to take my beer shift? So
Joe's got that.
So anyways, he's going to be there with me, but that's such a fun.
Yes.
It's all of us folks that are just involved, and it's such a good time. So that's one of the things I look forward to. That and the Veterans Golf Tournament at Carlton Oaks. Our good buddy Mike Aiken. He is
November 10th. That's happening.
Yeah, he is awesome, and Kristen Dare and the whole Santee Chamber. That's such a great event and the cause is amazing, but it's so much fun.
I think there's something else going on November 10th. I'm not sure what that would. Oh, that's right. It's Francie's birthday.
Oh, so we're gonna have to bring Francie on. So the Deano's golf cart rides around there now.
Oh.
It's a 6-seater, and what we do is we test all of the booze at all of the different. So our job, after I'm done doing the DJ part, which is the morning, and then I put it on auto repeat.
Yeah.
I jump in the Deano mobile. I got a rat rod golf cart, and we drive around. We had actually Stephanie with us last year. We drive around the whole golf course and make sure that the beer and the drinks are appropriate at each hole. And we do a couple laps, and sometimes it turns into a little more fun than we think of.
Fantastic. Well, is there anything else that you can think of? I think we covered it all today.
We covered it all.
Joe, is there anything else that I missed? Now that you can think of.
So last thing is come in to Deano's, check out the vibe for yourself.
And Joe, can you put up the address one more time for us? Do you have that up there? The address? Address, yes.
He's going to work hard. 5286 Baltimore Drive here in La Mesa. If you're old school La Mesa folks, it's the old Norma Jeans. It's been here for 40 years.
Oh,
Norma
my.
Jeans was here for a long time. Turned into the Alibi, and now it's Deano's Pub from now until as long as I can go with it. But I'm super stoked to be here, and I want everybody to come in, try it out, get the vibes, see our awesome bartenders. Our amazing bar manager, Amy, is I'm so lucky to have found her. She's just doing everything awesome, and we're really growing this business, and I look forward to the folks coming out here and trying it, even if you have to drive 5.5 miles. Everybody in CNT who tells me, I haven't been there yet, but I'm going to go. I'm like, well, today's as good a day as ever.
Hey, get in your
You're
car right
here
now.
every other week. I mean, these people. So get in here and try it out, and come check out a cool band or a cool event.
And stay for the next event coming up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that is it. Wrapping up this week. I think actually I already know. We got next week. We've got a local gal that does all the food prep meals and ordering.
Free pool Sundays.
Pool on Sundays. What?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention. We have free pool on Sundays.
Free pool.
So-
Free billiards, basically.
Yeah,
There's no pool in the back or anything like
So
that.
if you want to
where
play
it's
some
hot.
pool while you're watching your games, free pool on Sundays. That's actually kind of a cool event. The pool tables, a lot of people don't notice, but the dollar I make on the pool tables helps to pay for the air conditioning.
Well, that does help.
Air conditioning's not cheap. No.
All
Anyways,
right. Well, until next time, this is Rob McNelis. I have been here with Dean of Deano's Pub, Dean Velasco. Awesome logo, awesome shirts. Mama Deano is over there. We've got to get back to work here.
Yeah.
Dean's got to get back to work here.
We're gonna
We'll
council
catch
meeting
you.
tonight.
Yeah, eventually. Yeah. Goodness gracious. It's going to be a long one. There's one item on there.
yeah, I saw that. It's not like last time.
No. We'll catch you next week. Till then, take care. Love y'all.